Hey, Rich Tyson again. So it's been a very unique week, to say the least. I expected that following this past Tuesday school board's meeting with Penfield Schools, that I'd be getting on here to share with you, as I have before, some of the public remarks that I made and encourage parent participation in those Speak to the Board sessions. Obviously, things went a little crazy afterwards, but I'd like to first cut to share with you exactly what I had to say to the board when it was my opportunity to speak to them. So I'll see you on the other side.
Hello, Mr. Tyson. Please state your name and address.
You guys have got to know me by now. Come on. Rich Tyson, 21 Knolltop Drive. So I normally come in here with a pretty clear way of where I think I'm going to take this thing with you. You got 5 minutes tonight, right? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. So I'm going to admit, probably like a lot of parents, I wasn't paying attention for the first year and a half that my daughter was in school. She's a second grader at Indian Landing. And, everything seemed to go well. The teachers were nice. The principal was nice. She came home with a smile on her face. She was making new friends, right? Now, I think COVID, probably for everybody in this room, has opened up our eyes to a lot of, issues and challenges that we have. I'd also like to acknowledge Dr. Putnam. You've always been responsive to me, and I appreciate that very much anytime I've reached out with concerns, and there have been a number. But you've also expressed to me that your frustration comes from Albany. And it seems the more I'm asking questions and getting frustrated, it seems like Albany's making an awful lot of decisions for our community that I thought we elected you guys to take care of and hopefully support our superintendent. Maybe I don't know exactly how all these things work, but it seems like he should be getting support to make the tough decisions that Albany's punting on and not making for us. So, Dr. Putnam, if you need new board members or something, blink twice. We'll come in and help out. We're more than happy to support you as parents. Thanks. The reality of it is,
just for the record, I didn't blink twice, just so you know. But I do.
We're going to check the tape, but I will hold you to it. But it seems to me that we need a strong board advocating for our community. We as parents can't do it ourselves. We come here and we speak. But something that's also lacking that I've been really kind of shocked about is that there's not a dialogue. I feel like I don't know anywhere where any of you board members stand on any of these issues. And there's a ton of them that are faced in this community right now, especially with COVID. So maybe I missed it, but is there ever a point where there's a town hall type of event for us parents to ask questions and get actual feedback from the board? And as much as I hear the frustrations with Albany and that only so many decisions can be made at the local level, I hear that we're now talking about hiring another superintendent for DEI, which, as I understand it, is an initiative that's being pushed down from New York State. So why do we need another administrator sitting in the air-conditioned building because the schools aren't air-conditioned and that poor little girl is not getting those mask breaks like my daughter's not? So why do we need another high-paid administrator sitting in the air-conditioned building just waiting for New York State to tell you what to tell us all is going to happen out here without ever having any question and answer period for the parents so that we can find out why these things are happening in our community and if we really want them to happen in our community? So the last thing I'll leave you with is I think this is the camera. I've received a ton of fantastic feedback from other parents and folks in this community for coming out here and speaking. But it doesn't do you any good to just email me or send me a message on Facebook thanking me, as much as I appreciate that. The folks up here need to see you in this room, and they need to hear from you at this microphone, because without that, they're going to assume it's only a few number of people out here in the community that are upset, and they're going to totally ignore it. So we want a dialogue with you. We want to support you, but we want to know that we're supported as well. And I appreciate your time as always.
So as you can see, I think that approaching the board in a positive manner, in trying to advocate for your ability to assist them in delivering the product of education that works best for your student is the best way to go in these things. Now, obviously, some other folks got up and shared some of their thoughts on a variety of topics, and often kind of resulted in them, not being spoken back to. There was no engaging dialogue, as is often the case in these things. And that leaves parents and folks frustrated that they don't feel like they're being heard because there's nothing that's coming back that's affirming that these board members are, in fact, understanding and appreciative of the issues that they're bringing to the table. So now with that said, what happened in the last gentleman that spoke, he was bringing up his concern that some of the curriculum choices that are being made that, again, we're not getting any dialogue on, are coming from an organization that, through some research that he had done, he felt that a school board member, and certainly didn't call them out by name, but a school board member here in Penfield may have some ties to, and simply posited the question and said, this is something that I think we need to look into and maybe have some transparency. Back to that transparency thing, right? So once he made that comment, two of the board members started kind of, giggling and obviously getting distracted and were irritated, clearly, that he was speaking on this issue. And then what I saw next is what prompted what blew up. One of the board members was, making some hand gestures. An older woman down in the front, you can hear her in some of the videos saying, "What's this? What's this?" And she's asking why he's doing this with his hands, as if he's, just kind of being flippant and dismissive of the father that took the time out of his evening to come and raised what is maybe a legitimate question, or at least it's a legitimate question that may or may not have any meat behind it. But again, that's simply what the father was asking for. What is actually going on here? So when I saw that school board member, mocking and bullying and kind of taunting this person who was simply saying, why are you doing this? Why are you acting this way? I decided to stand up from the back of the auditorium and yell, "Be respectful. You're elected representative to represent us, and this isn't about you, bud." To which then, obviously, I think many of you know what took place next. So I'll cut to some video of that, and I'll catch you on the other side, and we'll wrap this thing up.
Versus the current path they're headed down. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Grani. That concludes the the visitor speaking time. So I'll turn it over to Superintendent's report.
Be respectful. You're an elected representative to represent us. This isn't about you, Mark. You're not going to stand up here and do anything to me, asshole. Hey, stop!
Okay.
Come on! Hey, come on!
All right, we're going to move into recess.
This whole time, come on! You got something to say? What did you call me? I didn't call you an asshole. What? I said you are elected to represent us. I didn't call you. I'm doing you today. You don't come in. You don't tell me what to do over there. I will. Welcome to our building. You are our guest. Let's go outside, bud. Welcome to our building. You are our guest. Bill, stay on the window. Can't go inside. I am. Would you like to thank us for inviting you to our meeting? You can threaten me to go back over there. It's our safe now.
Okay, so as you can see, he basically got up and told me, you're not going to stand here and do anything to me, a-hole, and then said, come on, come on. So, many people have asked, why did you do it? Why did you walk up there? I knew going into it, I'm not going to go up there and start a physical, fight with someone. That's not me. It shouldn't be any of us, really. Nobody should be out there, instigating physical confrontation with folks. But I just, as a parent, and I think as a taxpayer, not just with school board, but just about any government agency, entity, elected body, you feel silenced, you feel dismissed, you feel bullied sometimes by these organizations and these groups of folks. And to see someone physically doing it in front of me to an older woman like that, it wasn't something that was going to settle with me. And I just felt that it needed to be called out. And when he called me on stage or invited me up there, I felt good. I'll take the opportunity. I'll march down there. I'll jump on stage. And thankfully, I made that jump. Face planning would have been awful. I appreciate Jared, my personal trainer, for all those leg days that he puts into my schedule, for probably being the catalyst for making that jump complete. But, I wanted to get up there, and as I think anyone can see from the video, it's quite clear, I didn't even touch his table. I walked up and said, he accused me of calling him a name. I said, no, I didn't call you anything. I told you to be respectful and that you represent us. And that's when things got a little crazier. And he started, almost kind of like taunting me into a fight. And I just basically kept repeating, he doesn't represent us. He's not being respectful to the audience, and get him the heck out of here. He obviously became unhinged. He was, I think if it weren't for Dr. Putnam and a few of the other board members and some other folks that intervened, constrained him, and then inevitably dragged him off of stage, I don't doubt that he would have come after me physically. But, here's what it boils down to. People go from being an elected representative to a person in power when people allow themselves to be bullied and they refuse to stand up and have their voice heard. I know a number of you have reached out to me and continue to reach out to me and thank me for when I go and simply have the normal speak to the board moments, because I'm there. A lot of you are watching it streaming live at home. You're catching it after the fact on YouTube. And as much as I do appreciate folks reaching out, and I do very much appreciate that, but that's not why I'm there. I'm hoping that I'm setting an example of what every one of us should be doing. These people don't have power over us unless we allow them to have power over us. They are elected representatives, being the operative word, representation. They're supposed to be representing our interests. And unfortunately, they seem to represent the interest of many other folks. So I'm just going to continue to encourage parents and folks out there in the community, grandparents even, to start showing up to your school board meetings and let your voices be heard. If they see 3 people that show up out of a community of thousands, then they assume that that's a relatively small minority of voices and it's easy to dismiss, and they are dismissing us. But if 10, 20, 30, 40, 100 people show up every single month and make their voices heard, they're going to have to start to listen to it. So get out there and actually engage with your school board respectfully, verbally, but get out there and engage, because if you don't do it, they're going to turn from elected representatives into people of power, and they're going to run roughshod over us. So that's the comments I'll leave you with. For better or worse, obviously what took place this last Tuesday, I think, brought further attention to the fact that parents don't feel there's a lot of transparency. They don't feel that we're being heard, and there's absolutely no dialogue. So I will also tell you that if you're a parent that's feeling that way and you're feeling frustrated about it, to get in touch, because I've got some news coming over the next few weeks that I think is going to make a lot of you folks happy. And it's going to be, we're going to really start to push forward to change the dynamics of what has traditionally been going on and start forcing the issues that we want to see happen and how we want to see this interaction going forward between ourselves and the school boards, be it Penfield or anywhere else across the county, because I am hearing from folks from many other school districts that are feeling exactly the same way. So until next time, I hope next month is a little less eventful, though still impactful. And I hope that I see far more of you out there at your school board meetings going forward. If you don't do it, you have no one to blame but yourself for what happens. So be well, be safe, be respectful, and I'll catch you next time.